Hi guys, I'm Brittany. I post videos about plants and projects, and today we are talking all about growing Hibiscus sabdariffa in Grow Zone 7. I love using the dried roselles for things, and I buy bags of them online. So this year I decided I wanted to order some seeds online to try my hand at growing them to see if here in Maryland Zone 7 we could actually have a long enough growing season to grow this plant, because it actually is a tropical subtropical plant. So I started the seeds indoors early and then planted all of the plants in the ground in different lighting conditions to see what results I got. This right behind me is my most successful plant. I'll give you guys a close-up look here in a second. It has quite a few really big roselles on it that I am getting ready to harvest, so I wanted to wait until this video to show you guys. So we're going to talk a little bit through the seed starting process, where I have them planted, and what I recommend for growing these in non-tropical growing environments. I actually have this really large plant in my front yard because it gets really amazing light here, and this is definitely the highest producing plant out of all of them. These are some of the biggest roselles on here. They start off kind of small like this, and then as you let them grow on the plant, they'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you do leave these on the plant, they contain a little seed pod in the middle here, which I'm going to try to let a few of these mature so I can save some seeds and grow this again next year, because this is an annual where we live here in Maryland. So while I was researching this plant, I read that it can have a really good germination rate and a fast germination rate, but not a great transplant rate. So a lot of the plants can suffer from a lot of transplant shock and die when you put them into the ground. So I started more seeds than I thought I would need, and I transplanted more plants than I thought I would need. And I actually ended up having to dig up some of the transplants, put them back in pots, and give them to other people because nothing died when I transplanted it. So in my personal experience, I started more seeds than I needed, I transplanted more than I needed, and every single plant transplanted well, and I did not do anything special. This plant is also doing really well here. I threw this one up in this little bed here where I kind of have not figured out exactly what I want to be growing here yet. So again, since I had so many extra starts, I threw some up here. This area gets great light, but it doesn't get sunlight until a little bit later in the day. So even though the leaves are super healthy and the plant is nice and big and bushy and beautiful, I like it even without the flowers and calyxes, it has not flowered yet. So you do need those flowers to get the calyxes. The flowers will pop out. They'll be small and relatively unimpressive. I'll throw up a picture of that. And then they will last for about a day and then drop, and then the calyx will begin forming. So I do cut on this plant a lot because this one is really easy for me to access from our kitchen. So I've cut a bunch of stems off of this one all around the plant because the leaves are also edible. They have a really sour kind of sorrel-y taste to them, if you are familiar with sorrel. So I like to cut the leaves and put them on salads and stuff like that. So not everyone in my family likes that. I love sorrel, my husband hates it. I actually grow French sorrel as well for salads, but you can chop up the leaves in these, and I have found if you add them to salads and you just do like an olive oil and vinegar type salad dressing, the sour lemony taste of the sorrel leaves chopped up adds like a really nice flavor for like a lemony, olivey, vinaigrette type dressing for the salad. So if you're growing this specifically for the flowers and the roselles that they produce, that's great, but definitely try out some recipes and some ideas with the leaves as well if you like the taste, because they are edible. This is the one that probably gets the most shade out of all of the plants. So this is our redbud, and it's getting fairly large, and there's also a weed tree behind it here that starts blocking out the sun kind of like midway through the day. So I have it underneath here thinking that it would probably get enough light coming in from behind me where the sun comes up, but this is definitely my smallest plant of the bunch. Now again, it looks really nice still. The foliage looks beautiful. I like having this in the landscape. It's a pretty plant, but this one has not gotten enough light to flower or produce the roselles. So I probably would not recommend putting the plant somewhere like this where it's only getting morning sun and maybe early afternoon sun. It will look nice, so if you're only growing it for the leaves, that's fine. But if you really are looking for those flowers and those roselles, this is not going to be enough light. And back into the front yard here, I have 2 more plants, which I'm not sure if you can tell from the video, but it's really clear in person that these are way, way bigger than the 2 in the back. So I have 3 total up here. The first one I showed you has flowered profusely, and I've gotten lots of roselles from it. These 2 get a little bit less light where they are, but if you look closely on some of them, I was looking earlier and I did see some signs of potentially starting to flower on some of these stems. So I am hoping that these will pull through and start giving me some flowers before the end of the season. But if not, lesson learned, this plant needs a lot of light to successfully flower. We're gonna harvest some of these here. I have found that they do not pop off of the plant well, so I recommend using shears or a pair of scissors or something. And then, as I mentioned, it does have a seed pod here on the inside. So I have seen people like use a knitting needle to shove up through the bottom of here to pop that out. But what I've been doing with some of my earlier roselles is just laying them out on a towel in a dry spot, letting them start to dry, and then I just peel off these little like petal looking things to let them finish air drying before I store them. So we're gonna cut a couple more off here to show you guys. There you go. These are nice and big. We definitely want to be cutting these big ones off. And I love the way that these look up here as like summer shrubs. So I'm definitely going to be putting a couple more of these up here next year. So I'm going to leave a few of these bigger roselles on the plant to hopefully let them dry out so I can harvest the seeds. And I'm not sure how many seeds are in each of these pods, but they're rather large and the seeds were pretty small. So I am hoping that means that there is a decent number of seeds in there that I can try and save. Okay, it is dusk here and I am getting eaten alive by bugs as I harvest these little calyxes. So I have a nice little bowl full here. I am going to take these outside to lay them out. And if you were looking for tips on growing this, wondering if you can grow this in a non-tropical area like Grow Zone 7 where I'm at, rest assured that yes, you can. Just make sure you plant it in really well-draining, fertile soil. In my experience, it transplanted very well for my seed starts, and it needs lots and lots of light. So my next experiment will be to see if this will actually winter over in the ground, since it said it is perennial in Grow Zone 8. And since I'm 7, I'm wondering if maybe if it's a milder winter, maybe it will be perennial here. We'll see what happens. But if it is, I will definitely report back. Otherwise, I'll be starting my seeds again next year because I just love this plant. I hope you guys find this helpful. Bye-bye.